Good evening, I'm John Cold and you're listening to History Resonance. Tonight we revisit one of the most shocking and defining moments of the 21st century. September 11th, 2001. It was a clear Tuesday morning in the United States. Millions of people were beginning their day. Office workers were arriving at work, students were attending classes, and travelers were boarding flights. Within a matter of hours, however, the world would witness an event that would change history forever. The attacks of September 11th claimed thousands of lives, transformed global security policies, and left a lasting impact on generations around the world. Tonight, we'll examine how the events unfolded, hear accounts from the scene, and discuss the legacy of that tragic day. Joining us throughout the broadcast is our correspondent, Katie. Let's begin. The day started routinely. 4 commercial airliners departed from airports on the east coast of the United States. Unbeknownst to the passengers and crew, all 4 aircraft had been hijacked by members of the extremist organization Al-Qaeda. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of New York City's World Trade Center. The impact tore through multiple floors of the building. Witnesses on the ground stopped in disbelief as flames and thick black smoke erupted from the upper levels. At first, many assumed it had been a terrible accident. Emergency responders immediately began moving toward the scene. Firefighters, police officers, and medical personnel rushed into action while thousands of workers inside the tower attempted to evacuate. Television stations interrupted regular programming to provide live coverage. Millions of viewers around the world began watching the developing situation. Then, only 17 minutes later, another aircraft appeared. At 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. The second impact eliminated any doubt America was under attack. At this point, let's bring in Katie.
Thank you, John. Witness accounts from that morning reveal just how confusing those first moments were. People across Manhattan looked upward as debris fell from the towers. Office workers in nearby buildings evacuated into the streets. Many survivors later described hearing sirens from every direction. Despite the danger, firefighters and emergency crews continued moving into the towers. Numerous first responders climbed dozens of floors carrying heavy equipment, determined to reach those trapped above the impact zones. At the time, few people could imagine how rapidly the situation would continue to worsen. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Katie. As New York struggled to understand what was happening, another hijacked aircraft was approaching Washington, D.C. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon, headquarters of the United States Department of Defense. The attack demonstrated that multiple targets had been selected. Government agencies, military commands, and emergency management officials immediately began implementing crisis procedures. Meanwhile, a 4th hijacked aircraft remained airborne. United Airlines Flight 93 was traveling over Pennsylvania. Passengers aboard the aircraft learned about the earlier attacks through phone calls to family members and authorities. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, several passengers and crew members attempted to confront the hijackers. A struggle broke out inside the aircraft. At approximately 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Investigators later concluded that the actions of the passengers likely prevented the aircraft from reaching its intended destination. Back in New York, conditions inside the World Trade Center had become increasingly dangerous. The impacts and resulting fires had severely weakened both towers. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. The massive structure fell in a matter of seconds. An enormous cloud of dust spread through lower Manhattan. People ran through the streets seeking safety as emergency crews struggled to continue rescue operations. Then at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower also collapsed. The iconic skyline of New York City was permanently changed. For many people watching around the world, the images seemed almost impossible to comprehend.
John, in the aftermath of the collapses, Emergency services faced one of the largest rescue and recovery operations in American history. Communication networks were overwhelmed. Hospitals prepared for large numbers of casualties. Thousands of firefighters, police officers, medical personnel, construction workers, and volunteers joined the response effort. The attacks ultimately claimed nearly 3,000 lives and injured thousands more. Victims came from many nations, backgrounds, and professions. In the days that followed, memorials appeared across cities throughout the world. People gathered to hold vigils, leave flowers, light candles, and honor those who had been lost. Many observers noted that while the attacks revealed terrible destruction, they also highlighted extraordinary acts of courage, sacrifice, and compassion. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Katie. The consequences of September 11th extended far beyond that single day. Airport security procedures were dramatically strengthened. Counterterrorism efforts expanded across numerous countries. International military operations and major political decisions would follow in the years ahead. The attacks influenced global security policy, intelligence cooperation, and international relations for decades. Yet beyond the political changes, the human stories remain at the center of how September 11th is remembered. The firefighters who entered the towers, the police officers directing evacuations, the passengers aboard Flight 93, the rescue workers who searched tirelessly through the debris, and the families whose lives were forever altered. Today, more than 2 decades later, memorials continue to honor those affected by the attacks. The events of September 11th remain one of the most significant moments in modern history. They serve as a reminder of both the devastating consequences of terrorism and the resilience people can demonstrate during moments of profound crisis. You've been listening to History Resonance. I'm John Cold. Thank you for joining us as we looked back at the events of September 11th, 2001. We'll return soon with another story that changed the course of history. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and take care.